cut two of those out.
Like the fabric that's folded in half.
Then you have to cut it in, but yeah, two separate pieces.
So apologize for the confusion. Just cut two of them.
Sharpening is in my video.
Cut them together at the same time.
Sharpening in my video?
So two of each
Not cool,
half
dude.
piece. So
Not
two of this one, two of this one, and two of this one.
Maybe if you just sit the tone for me.
Yeah, you don't want them to be fast. That was my mistake to say that out. And then go ahead and mark all of your notches. So on the shorts, those are going to be here at the top of the center front, at the bottom of the center front, so we know where that seam comes out, that seam allowance. And then there's also going to be a notch right here, you'll see on this curved piece. You want to mark that for sure. And if you want to mark your seam allowances, you can, or you can just reference the pattern as you're sewing. You also want to mark the bottom, the hem of your shorts here as well. On the lining, you'll see on the curve, you have a little notch there as well that you'll need to mark. And then again, you can either mark your seam allowance or you can reference the pattern as you go. So we have a half inch and a quarter inch. Bless you. On this piece, you'll want to mark this notch here at the top and this notch here at the bottom of this curve. Those are going to be very important here in a little bit. Alright. So once you have those cut out and marked, then what we're going to do is we're going to start with one of our short front pieces and one of our angled side pocket lining. Let's start with the lining and with our short front. Put the other ones aside for now. So I'm going to lay down the shorts in front of me with the markings facing away from me.
So would it be the right side of the pattern facing you?
Yeah, so
The right side of the fabric.
the printed side of the fabric facing me. And then I'll choose the piece of the lining that has the marking on top when I can match it up. So that way I have marking on top here, marking on top here.
So the marking on the lining is
On the bottom. Yep, so we have right sides together. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that little notch that we marked and we're going to line it all up so we know that it is correct. Use those little notches to mark it up, line it up, and then also the top and the top and the bottom of this curve. And then we'll just pin it down here. Now, as we look at our pattern piece, we can see this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we need to make sure that we sew this together at 1/4 inch. And we're just going to sew right along this pocket edge like that. At a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, so now I have the lining sewn to the shorts. do now, as usual, is press it down. And then we're going to turn this like that. And you'll have that front edge of your pocket in your shorts. A pair of jeans, have that front edge all nice and even there. So what we're going to do is we're going to press this down. And then what do we need to do with this curve so that we can turn it inside out?
Clip it.
Yep, we're going to clip it. That's exactly right. So we'll clip it, and then that way it'll open up and turn inside. Let's start pressing. Alright, so I have pressed it, and I'm going to go ahead and clip it now.
It's a habit. Come on for some class. When I clip it, I pew pew pew. It's tight. It's too.
So we have it clipped so that when I turn it inside out, it will spread open like that. And now we're going to do something new. We're going to do something called understitching. Okay, and understitching will help ensure that once we turn this like this, the fabric won't roll so that you see that seam. There's nothing more annoying than that. We want to keep it nice and hidden, make it look clean and lovely. So we're going to do something called understitching. And the way we do this is with the pocket lining facing up towards us. We're going to fold back the seam like this. And then we are going to pin the lining to the seam allowance. It's like this. So that lining piece that's folded back into the seam allowance like that. Let's do this all the way along here. We want to make sure that we open up that seam as much as possible.
This is on the outside that you're putting.
That's correct, yes. This is on the outside. So the correct side of the fabric is facing towards me, the printed side.
But the seam allowance is still folded to one side, right?
Yep, seam allowance is all folded to one side.
And why isn't this called top stitching?
It's called understitching.
I asked why it wasn't called top stitching.
Why it's not called top stitching? Because you will not see it on the top of the garment once we are done. So it will actually be, once we stitch it, it will hide and you won't see it. So it's called understitching because it's under the edge of the garment. Top stitching would be if we did it on the other side and you saw it. So we are now going to stitch very close to the edge of that seam, so we're basically edge stitching. And we are stitching through the lining and through the seam allowance, so that we're catching the seam allowance and the lining all at once. sometimes depending on how fine the fabric is or how tight that curve is, you may need to actually do your understitching at a shorter stitch length. So I just stitched it at 3, which is okay, but you can reduce it and it will make it a nice, cleaner look. So now I have stitched on the lining piece to the seam allowance. I'm going to walk this around so it's kind of hard to see. And what this does is, I haven't even pressed it yet. When I fold it back like that, see how nice and clean that is? And you'll see it rolls it back for you and holds it in place. So it's really, really critical.
Are those peaches or mango? That's what I had. I'm like, I'm gonna just repeat it. I'm gonna learn parents.
The mangoes.
I love mangoes. Are you really? That's so sad. I get like extra cilantro, salsa. What do you want me to say? Oh, I'm allergic to beans. My friend is allergic to beans. You're shoving your mango in your face.